so that way I'm not going to hear myself or hear the world music and be like, where did that came from?
You would have missed out on the opening music because I went in a different direction this week and treated the 5 people listening to the opening theme to Cowboy Bebop because I
I hear.
recently rewatched it.
Oh, now we're live. I can see it now.
Yes.
So you weren't able to like trick me this time. No.
No, no. I always try to trick you by starting the show relatively on time. That is a trick I pull on you.
A trick that you're pulling on me. A trick I'm pulling on me. I've like started things from relatively on time. And hello everyone, welcome to the Alchemy Fetch. Currently is me, John 2D2 right now, as I'm with what my hat and sweater as were, but hey,
And
I'm
playing
starting
the role of your angry chemistry teacher is a cat butt.
angry chemistry teacher? I don't remember to play with the angry chemistry teacher.
Well, I'm a chemistry teacher, and I'm typically angry. I play it down with sarcasm. Nasty
Yes,
jokes.
yeah, I figured you have like hello lads, lasses, and enemy badasses. Hello Joe Glory, Mithro, Joe Drumpy, and Indigenous Heretic, as it were. And yes, Joe McClure, that's great. You got a vacation soon and going to the Ren Fair, and everyone in the state is so excited. We set back like for very productive rights to a period appropriate.
Oh God! Did you know that leeches are actually an effective abortion if you apply a very, very large number of them and kill the person?
Mm, yeah. It is an effective way of abortion. Yes. But and people get actually, it's just like because people see the abortions as like baby killings. It's like I guess so. I mean, if the mothers why care about the mothers at all? It's the babies that are more important, as we're.
Hmm. And just remember that the program of the Republican Party is just eugenics and appropriating money to the wealthy.
I'm still so busy in the middle of like tweeting it out,
Yeah.
so just like
So while you're
I'm.
doing that, I want to go ahead and issue a quick correction. I have to apologize. Back when the news was first coming out about the tragedy at Uvalde, um,
Mhm.
I said repeatedly that it took the cops 40 minutes to go in, and that was incorrect.
Took them
It
55
took them
minutes.
80 minutes to go in.
80.
The useless shits didn't even try to open the door to the classroom
Yep.
for 80 goddamn minutes.
Yep.
So, hence why we're doubling down. It's not just fuck the police, it's also fuck police unions.
Well, yes, it's all unions are great except for police unions, as it were.
That's why cops and bosses are the only people not allowed in the international workers of the world,
Yes,
or industrial
cop
workers.
industrial workers world. They ban economic elites and political elites as well as cops because like the
Because
IWW.
cops protect political and economic elites. That's all they're for.
Yeah, yes, they're class traders, as it were. And yes, fuck fireworks, Groundhog. And hey, Emily
Hmm.
Chandler, I prefer to refer to as SOAR. So, well, what? I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm dyslexic, as it were. Apologies.
Slore.
Floor.
Slore.
Okay. Soar, yeah, no,
Slore.
that's a mood for a lot of us. Leeches are highly effective and
And they
anti-coagulants.
actually do
Yes,
have medical uses these days. After surgery to reattach accidentally amputated limbs, they can be used to draw off blood from blood vessels that are still healing.
yes, which is why it's just like it's kind of unfair to call landlords leeches or bosses leeches because
Because
like
leeches actually do have uses and are part of natural environment.
yes, so how's everyone doing? We know that like Joe McGlory is like a go on vacation, and yeah, fuck fireworks. Uh,
Hmm.
in fact, that's kind of like actually also like it happened last night. Groundhog 2010 and I were playing golf with friends.
Online,
It,
not real
online
golf.
on Twitch, as it were. Um, the video game is like a firework went off outside. Now, granted, I had the window open to let the air in, as it were. I have it closed right now, just try to reduce that background noises but I bet even if I still like had the window closed or something like that, it was so loud I just said fucking asshole as well,
Mm-hmm.
because they heard it pick it up from my microphone on stream as it were in the
Yep.
Discord call.
Catbutt had to spend some time hiding under the bed because, hey, it's the 2nd of July. Motherfuckers.
They always yeah, let's go landlord scums. They always start early. There's always some assholes that just like start with the fireworks like very early as it were, and it's just like and then that's the thing that like we can like cover as well. It's just like I wish I have like done more research, but like going off of like what have I learned over the past couple of years and stuff like that. Well, yes, Awu Tavi, how you doing?
Ooh.
But like so I don't know. At one point, I slowly started to think that's like, hold on a minute. These rich white men, the white men that are founding fathers, as it were. It took me a while before I can like actually like be critical of like founding fathers and that sort of thing. Honestly, like a Renegade Cut video or something like that. Or no, other like theory that I've like consumed and in like my regression to like a narco-syndicalist communist that I am now. But
Mm-hmm.
like they were all slave owners as were, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like I basically the more I learned about like the founding
Well, actually, no.
fathers.
I think it was just like 2/3 to 3/4 of the founding fathers were slave owners. So,
Yeah,
I mean, majority and fuck them all, and hypocrites and fuck them to death in the ear with a knife. But yeah.
we're talking about the founding fathers, so it's like easy to do that. This is not disaster terrorism,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't even count.
You should murder President Jefferson.
Yeah, and that one at least is like a note about like, and it's like, is it consent when it's a slave? No, and she was young anyway, like a child or something like that. So it's just like, fuck Jefferson for like that. Well, don't fuck Jefferson. He's a rapist. We're starting with a heavy topic, so
Consign him to. You know what? How about something lighter? Let's get Joe McClory in here so that he can talk about what he's going to do for the Ren Fairy, if he's going to do anything fancy, if he wants to.
Joe, you know what, Joe McClory, you're going to get the copy of the link right now. You can just like
if you want to come in and brag about your Ren Fair costume, or even show it off if you can. If you have a Ren Fair costume, you might just be going to enjoy a giant turkey leg and look at a guy playing with very period inappropriate juggling sticks.
Let's see. Tavi said like so far the fireworks near me have like been muted, but nice to like that but the nice sounding sound blocking in the house also. But I've been like keeping the like earplugs and like noise canceling headphones at hand to reach. Yes. Mr. says my last dog was so scared of the fireworks he had to like crawl near the computer desk. The only problem was that he was like a GSD cross, as it were, so he didn't fit too well. So he was big, as it were. Great. What's GSD? It's just, my brain can't. Like,
German Shepherd, Great Dane, perhaps.
Okay, yeah, big boy. Plenty to love, as it were, but like, yeah, big boy. No, wait.
Gargantuan shitting dog. Yeah. Wesley likes to crawl under my desk regardless because he likes dens.
That makes sense. Just like be able to hide.
It's Joe.
I don't have it ready.
You don't have it ready?
I have a couple of days off before it, so I was gonna unpack.
So you're gonna dress up in leather armor, carry a fake axe?
I have a fake axe. I don't have nearly a full set of leather armor. I just have arm guards, really, to go with my kilt outfit.
Gotcha. Wait, if you're gonna go with a kilt, then you got to carry a greatsword.
Those are very expensive.
Yeah, they are. Just get cheap replicas, as it were. But even then.
Or you could go the Isaiah route and go with Star Trek.
Yes, that's always a thing. As where just like hey, go to Star Trek and just like pretend that you're on the away mission to a foreign planet. Because like that's how Star Trek often just like goes back in time by just like be like it's on a different planet.
Or they do the holodeck for TNG.
Oh yeah, holodeck for DNG. Yep.
No, I've been going for 6 or 7 years now. I have fully built a wizard outfit. I've more or less built a kilted warrior outfit, and I'm putting together pirate stuff.
And of course, as soon as you said wizard, I immediately I put on my robe and wizard hat. For the youngins in the chat, that's a meme from about 20 years ago, back when AOL Instant Messenger was still a thing, and people would use that for sexting.
That's right. It was always the thing. It's just like don't meet people online who are sexist as it were. Especially since like it was like dial up in the 90s. We just had like chat rooms as it were, so you didn't have the way to like actually send photos of each other over the internet as it were. And that's where it's like ghosting, no fishing as it were was like catfishing was like prevalent as it were, or like a concern. Let's see. Hey, John Parkman, what do you have to get to R2D2 on? What do you have to do to get R2D2 on the podcast? Debbie just has to ask me. John Parkman just has to ask me. That's all.
Yeah, basically, R2D2 will show up on any podcast because R2D2 is already on every podcast. Every leftist podcast, hence the flower on there. Oops, it's migrated down to Joe's. Here we go. There. Now the Scarlet Pimpernel is up on, yes. Zay is the Scarlet Pimpernel of the left.
Yes, someone should dress Wolf up like a lady and take her to a fair. Oh, that would be like nice. My Fair Lady. But yeah, let's see.
A wolf and a wimple.
Yes. Immature says apologies. Old dog also cat is and birds and critters that like hate explosions. Yep. It's just like, and we do it all to celebrate the birth of this country, as it were. Where it's just like it was a declaration of war, essentially.
First, got to remember to thank Joe, who's here in the chat, and Edie, Marty, Tim, Von Reck, the Fuck Boys, and Flora.
Thank you so much for like being patrons of us. You give us money for this sort of thing we do. Very little like research or like pep on like in mind to John Bruckman's part as or others just like show up like Isaiah, which we enjoy Isaiah's company, so don't get us wrong. Yep. As we just like sit here for at least 90 minutes of like who remembers TalkCity.com? I don't remember TalkCity.com at all.
That sounds familiar.
Nope, mine was the Sony station where I first started the internet stuff.
Chat rooms. Oh wow, it's still up and it still looks like 2002.
Nice.
Oh, nice shield. It's not one of those like taser shields that the police have though, but it's kind of cool. Hold on.
You guys remember frames? Frames from the early internet? When Windows would have basically smaller windows inside of them that screwed up everything if they were the wrong
size. I remember Windows 3.1 and how just like it's just Windows and Windows and Windows. Well before they had finally got the taskbar and the start button. Hold on again.
My Fair Lady. Yep. Eliza did it a day. That bitch had a wonderful fucking accent, she did.
Remember Windows instead of tabs making it much easier to accidentally send the wrong message to the wrong person.
Mm-hmm.
That can still happen though, honestly.
Yeah, now it's just texting, but
well, yeah, because like I saw it. Well, it was in a Facebook group. A couple of people were just like having arguments in a comment thread on a Facebook post, as it were. And then one person, and then one of them accidentally like sent a message that was meant to send to their partner, as it were, because they were in the hospital at the time, essentially. But they got posted in the Facebook comment thread, as it were. To which they're like, oh wait, that was meant to be my partner. I'm at the hospital now. I'm texting them, as it were. And to which actually the other person was like, oh, okay, listen, this is an argument, but please take care of yourself, as it were, because like it was just a disagreement, as it were. Yeah, boop Lucidia, the Free Council. Yes, I booped you too. Does anyone else know what Marv means? No, Tavi, I don't know what Marv means, as it were.
Marv and the Martian.
There's that. I don't remember frames at all. So it's like this is I miss frames, honestly. So like,
it was they were briefly a thing in the late '90s, early 2000s. You would have like you would set up your menu on one side of the screen, and it would have an independent scroll bar, and you'd have your banner up the top, which would get its own independent scroll bar because nobody had the same size monitors. And then you have the main section of the page, and they would have its own independent scroll bar, and then the whole thing would have a scroll bar over on the side of the window, and they were clunky and awkward and never worked, and everyone used them.
Oh, Tom from MySpace, as it were. At least he sold the company and like they just like got his millions, and it's just like, okay, I don't need to do anything else anymore. I don't know what he's doing now, but like in some ways, like he doesn't seem to be as awful and terrible, as it were. And MySpace,
he's a musician. I think that's all it really is.
You know what? Hey, I respect the like people who create art, as it were, and not terrible people, of course, but like it being able to create art as well, as were. I mean, maybe I never heard of it, and so I was like, maybe it's not great art, or maybe it's just haven't reached mainstream accessibility, or I just don't listen to new music at all, which is very possible.
No, he's just retired. That's all.
He's not doing what the guy after him did. What do you call it? Destroying democracy for a profit.
Yeah.
Retweeting white supremacist bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess the blessing is that like MySpace is not terrible because like non people use it. Still Friendsters though. Brains equals hell for accessibility. Not gonna mention it on Blade Chambers. I'd rather is. I mean, we're trying to use up. Okay.
I'm trying to see how that would be a acronym for anything. I can't think.
Marv was, I think, mostly
Mav.
Mav. Sorry. What I add the A? For sending messages to the wrong person. As far as I know, I originally Telnet's Mux. That used to be like
a Mav is a page or pose sent to the wrong muck or person, or even from the wrong alt on a muck. Private Whisper spoken out loud is an example of a Mav. The term is derived after Mud Classic user Maverick's name, known for frequent and embarrassing misdirected messages. I remember Muds. Muds and mushes.
So yes, yeah. Tomorrow is the birth of the country of the United States of America, and for that we apologize for all the terrible things.
The Imperial Corps was born. Well, actually, yes. The Imperial Corps was born in 1788. But
yeah, exactly. A
bunch of rich assholes threw a temper tantrum in 1776.
Yeah. It was a bourgeoisie revolution, as it were, because like the mercantile class, the bourgeoisie of the America colonies, as it were, just like, yes, they said that we are taught is like taxation without representation. They just didn't want to pay taxes. They had a monopoly basically on tobacco, as it were, and they wanted to like make a lot more profits off of this, as it were. But like because they were part of the British colonies, as it were, the British had like strict taxes on that sort of thing too.
And they also wanted to expand westward and take all the land.
Yeah, exactly.
But the crown insisted on honoring its treaties like an asshole.
Yeah, so then like no, we're not part of the British Crown. We're not on the British Crown whatsoever. We are like we're American now, and we don't have such
We are
treaties with
snack.
you.
We are snack. We are snack, snack, snack.
uh does anyone remember Shockhound? I don't remember Shockhound as we're
Ooh. Remember
oh
LimeWire and Kazaa?
I don't remember Kasa.
That was the only way to get video porn back in the day.
Yes, it was. That's how my oldest brother got a lot of his anime. He's
Oh,
like,
Winamp! Oh, you leave Winamp open long enough, it had such a memory leak problem, your computer would go slow.
oh, I still have Winamp. Oh, I remember using Winamp.
I mean, it's been 20 years. They might have fixed that problem since then.
I don't remember that problem, the memory issue. But then again, by the time I was using Winamp, I listened off of the music that my oldest brother would download off of Kazaa and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And sometimes and sometimes it'd be the full playlist and it'll be like on shuffle. But when there's like 3 versions of like Black Sunshine by like White Zombie is where I'm just like, okay, I'm tired of this song now. Because it's the same playlist I'm playing on shuffle as where, and when there's 3 versions of the same song, then yeah, you hear it more often.
Man, I had so many versions of those things. I got so many viruses.
Oh, like my oldest brother hated me because like I think once I found like a ROM sites as it were.
Oh god, so
like
much malware.
It's like a kleptomaniac. I was downloading a lot of ROMs. I still have some of those files on like a hard drive somewhere on one of these hard drives that's connected to the computer right now, and it just like. There's a lot of the games I don't play. There's some games that like I use like, oh, right now I should get back to that game because like, oh wow, Bahamut Lagoon. This game never got released in America as well, and it was a fan translation of it too. So it's like I can play it. It's like this is actually kind of interesting. I wish that again they were not bringing it out to America. The Final Fantasy IV was the easy version of it too, and like even great games.
Thanks
like
to ROMs, I got to play Final Fantasies 1 through 6, all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, and Final Fantasy V, the first time I played that was on the ROM, but it was so interesting with with the version we had because in like the 3rd level of like the 3rd dungeon basically of like Final Fantasy V, you're in the sunken pirate ship. You're underwater. So there was a graphic of like water texture like over everything. That's supposed to be transparent so you can see through it. The ROM we had, it wasn't transparent. So we spent hours in that dungeon just like trying everything.
You know you can turn off layers in emulators.
No, I was 14. I was like a teenager. I didn't know you could turn off layers. My brothers and siblings did not know that we could turn off layers. And so we just like we leveled up so much in that dungeon early on in the game that like the rest of the game was actually kind of like not that hard. So when we played the official version from like Final Fantasy Anthology, Anthology, on the PlayStation the collection is where then was Final Fantasy Chronicles of Final Fantasy 4 and Chrono Trigger, and then Final Fantasy Origins of Final Fantasy 1 and 2. But Final Fantasy Anthology finally got to play Final Fantasy 5, and like, oh my god, this is so much easier. And later it's like, oh my god, I'm having a difficult time on this like next dungeon, so I'm gonna have to grind to like level up as it were, because we did all the grinding before as were. I don't know what multiple user shared hallucinations are, but
it's basically a text-based dungeon crawler.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
It was the precursor to modern MMOs.
Yeah, that can I imagine.
And they used ASCII art to render landscapes and things like that, and they were surprisingly sophisticated because they used multiple colors and they worked really well. And you could build your own scripts to sort of semi-automate your characters. It was freeform D&D. Yeah, it was MMOs. So there was MUDs, multi-user dungeons, and mushes, which were more freeform, multi-user simulated hallucinations.
Okay. Yeah.
There was a Discworld MUD for a really long time. It's probably still out there.
Nice. Taffy said like earlier, this used to be a lot of what was on MySpace. I had a bunch of functions for selling music and custom pages. Yeah, the custom pages thing for MySpace was actually quite interesting because it was kind of annoying. You would go to like someone's page and then you would hear like a music automatically played, and that can be held for someone's sensory issues. That's still kind of a problem now.
And also, you go to one page and you have to turn volume up to hear a thing. You try and go to another page, and then suddenly it's blaring at you, super duper fucking loud.
Yeah. Sometimes that's still kind of an issue if you go from one Twitch stream to another Twitch stream and so on and so forth. As where, but yeah, but like the autoplay thing is still a problem for some people. Is where I think actually my friend Neko on Twitter has said ranted about it. It's just like, please allow me an option to not be able to hear the loud ass fireworks that played as I scroll through my thing, as it were. Because like it was like autoplayed or a link or something like that, or and she did. I think she just like pressed play on it, but it was like when she pressed play on it to go to a link to the website, as it were, it was loud as fuck in her ears, and she has audio issues as well. Lightning freaks her out, and so like she hates the fireworks that happen on like 4th of July too. Let's see. Tappy saw Winamp last night. Alchemy still uses this, and I'm trying to figure out what to use for a video for a music player these days. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I mean, I don't play. I guess I don't play much music directly from like my drives now, because like I'm either playing video games or listening to like podcasts as well. So it's like, yeah, I don't have like I don't know what to dedicate as like my music player on like my PC, because like. Oh, the built-in stuff from Windows is just like not great. It's where.
Oh my god! you just forget just how fucking the websites used to be.
Yes.
Just throwing animated shit at the wall, seeing what sticks. I mean, I wonder how many people inadvertently got seizures because of the 90s.
Yeah, I bet. Oh god, all of this animated crap is the word. It reminds
One
me
thing I miss, though, Homestar Runner.
the Homestar Runner is kind of still around, but like.
But without the Flash, there's so much old content you can't access anymore.
That's right, because with the
Look at
Flash
Wiki Strong
before.
Man.
So half the fun was just trying to find their Easter eggs.
Yes.
You hold down tab to see when something pops up, and you click on it. Yeah.
Yes. Oh wait, I can click at that, and then Homestar shows up as the word. Yeah, because like finding all those like secrets. Yeah. Yeah, the move away from Flash. That's like unfortunate as well. All right, some people don't
But
know.
Flash was a vulnerability, and I get it. It was clunky and slow.
Yeah.
But it gave us so much joy once upon a time. Like Saturday morning cartoons.
Yes. Saturday morning cartoons, or the time where it's like, okay, the kids are from the television, so the parents can go to the bedroom for some like alone time.
Meaning they can go back to sleep. Yeah.
Well, yeah, probably to go back to sleep. Yeah.
Sleeping is alone time.
Until the demons come in.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see my face. I'm making an extreme stupid face.
Let's see. Final Fantasy 3 for the longest time was only played in like English fan translations. Yeah, Final Fantasy 3 it playing the original NES version of it. Final Fantasy 3 with fan translations is kind of interesting too, because it's kind of like, oh, this is like a Final Fantasy 1 but different, and a wolf showed up
with a bed covered in napping pillows.
I wonder what the game that they sold as Final Fantasy Mystic Quest actually was, because it was part of the anthologies in that.
Mystic Quest, as far as I know from a whole bunch of different gaming history things, was actually the we feel like people in the United States can't figure out how to play Japanese RPGs because they're too hard, so we're going to make them Mystic.
Yes.
Okay. So it was legit just a thing that was thrown together.
Yes.
They had already put out Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy, and both of them did well.
Well,
Dragon Quest was another company, but yeah.
Well, yeah, it was Enix at the time, because like this is well before like SquareSoft tried to like be movie making studio as it were, and then failed horribly with the bomb of like Final Fantasy Spirits Within as it were, nearly bankrupted the company to like force them to.
We're gonna make a movie that's mediocre at best.
Yes, exactly.
The horrible thing is I actually like that movie. Not the best movie ever, but I did enjoy it.
I enjoyed
We're going to go to all the effort to make these people look incredibly realistic, unless they're women.
It's so square. It's so square.
Insert that GIF of Nathan Fillion doing that hand up and then hand down thing.
I mean, you have men with realistically textured and detailed skin, you know, with liver spots and things like that, and then you have women who look like plastic dolls.
Yes. Yes.
This would be because it was made by
Mostly men.
Cishet white men for 14-year-old cishet white boys, yeah.
Half of them were Japanese, though.
Oh, yes, yes. It was made for otakus and weeds.
Well, yes.
I think that one might have been more marketed towards like 20s or something, but yeah.
But like, yeah, so like this, so Final Fantasy with a paper thin plot, as it were, but like, hey, it's some interesting ideas, and like, I like it for what it is. It nearly bombed Square Soft, so they had to like sell themselves to Enix and merchant Square Enix as well. But like, but yeah, there was like the first 4 Dragon Quest games that were made and released in America. It was only like Dragon Quest like 1 was, first of all, they were renamed Dragon Warrior, but the first Dragon Quest was also had graphical upgrades to it as well, between the Japanese version and the US version as well. And it's like, but it was only
upgrades and censorship.
Oh, that's right. Oh, well, yes, because like a lot of things were just like changed and over in translations. That's where censorship.
They, well, more specifically, remember in that era, Nintendo was very concerned about angering Christian evangelicals.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So they had that no depictions of religious imagery thing because people would it's like, oh, like, well, we're playing like, I mean, Dragon Quest and all those games very inspired in the first place by Western RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Ultima.
Yes.
So they made a priest and they put a cross on his outfit.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went to the US and they're like, maybe we should not.
Okay, so white mage.
maybe the yeah. Well, I was in Dragon Quest, they actually changed the priest class to the pilgrim. And they took, I forget what they did to the churches where you're supposed to save your game in a journal.
Yes.
But they stopped having the crosses on them. There's a couple other games like Ghosts and Goblins where they had like crosses on the gravestones. They just took those off.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the anti-video game sentiment came from a lot of your more, hardline conservatives.
Well, obviously, video games are a way for demons to enter children. They travel from the electrical wires up through the console, through the controller, into your body through your hands, which you obviously use for masturbation to the video game characters.
That is actually the plot of Shin Megami Tensei.
This is true.
I'm talking like back on the NES, before Atlas had control of it. But even when Atlas had control of it, it was still the demons coming over the electrical airwaves. It's probably a lot of the inspiration for Digimon.
Yes, it was exactly. Yes, it probably was. But was it first Shin Megami Tensei on the SNES, not the NES?
No, the first Shin Megami Tensei was on the SNES. That's when Atlas got it.
Before that, it was just Megami Tensei.
Right, and that was.
I know this because I'm looking at the Wikipedia page right now, because otherwise I have no clue.
Yes, it might be on. Okay, I kind of like researched just to like the
first installment in the franchise, Digital Devil Story, Megami Tensei, was released on September 11th, 1987.
Yep. So it's only 1 year older than, or 1 year younger than I am.
Yes.
The original light novel story comes with all the content warnings because the hero is not a hero, he's a rapist.
Yep. Not surprising with this like a story.
Well, I mean, this is still the 80s, so kind of still a hero. It was Reagan.
I mean, Revenge of the Nerds.
If we're going by what they thought a hero was, and we're also going to stick to our anarchist mantra of kill your heroes, because the whole hero concept is bullshit.
Yes. Stop giving away my demonic plans on now I have to start all over. I'm sorry, John P. You're supposed to do the devil's music anyway.
Oh, let's see. If we're gonna go with Devil Plans, with the rainbow, hold on. It's gonna take me a while because I have so many saved pictures. So just keep on talking while I look for it.
I think so. The first Megami Tensei was I'm not sure if like it was the first one was actually released on the MXX, but that was one of the computers that like was popular in Japan at the time, as well as the Famicom.
It doesn't. Those games don't really fully include the light novel story. Thankfully, it just skips to the hero going into this big, pyramid ziggurat-like structure and going through lots of levels and fighting lots of demons through lots of levels.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of actual story. Which is good because they kept the references to the light novel and the story in there. I'm glad Atlas did not keep the character.
Yeah. Metro said, I've seen several videos of like hardline Christians claiming Elden Ring is a Christian-inspired game. They ignored all the Nordic and like Celtic mythology references. This is Christians. These are okay. What Christians are not like imperialist or colonialists, as it were?
Yeah. Also, any like really well-developed video game with that kind of wild inner mythology of its own, those writers have read all kinds of world mythologies and they're mixing.
Yes.
It's virtually impossible to make any sort of thing without having been, tainted by Christian bullshit. So
also remember, let's not forget. Most of us will not forget. Like, especially my pagan friends, where that like, oh yeah, Christians will take this like, oh wait, no, we have the same kind of holiday. It's Christmas or it's Easter, and it's just like, and it's Halloween. It's like,
oh, Eid Mubarak, is that like Muslim Christmas?
The whole idea of everyone must be the same and all have the same culture, it was developed in Europe and exported to the rest of the world, where it was executed with extreme prejudice, by which I mean genocide.
Yes, exactly. Genocide, one of the crimes that we are going to charge with capitalism, as it were.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Because so Isaiah, who happens to like not be here right now, but like hope you're doing all right, Isaiah, and you're welcome to like to jump in the call at any time. Just where kind of like ask me privately, but then I decided it's like, and no, let's just share this publicly or share this like in the DM group and like to everyone. What those kind of things would you like charge capitalism for? Murder, imprisonment, attempted murder, damage to the environment,
mass enslavement, multiple genocides, all the trigger warning sorts of crimes, all scales.
But a friend of mine did kind of like correct me if like I guess I missed the biggest and the most basic one of all: theft, the theft of land. The
theft of property.
Yes, the tragedy of the commons, as it were, or more correctly, the Enclosure Act, as it were.
The tragedy of open access.
Yes.
And then
this is a crime.
The theft of all the land that belonged to all the indigenous people.
Oh,
yeah. Stolen persons, which is analogous to the worst of all possible crimes: theft of property.
And yes, the stolen land, which a lot of Americans are going to, a lot of like since the USA is going to celebrate tomorrow with like wild explosions and pretty lights. I appreciate the spectacle of fireworks though, but like off in the distance, like far away, something like that, to hear, or even on TV and stuff like that. But
not in the parking lot next to my fucking apartment.
I get that big loud bang yesterday as we're fucking assholes. And most of the ordinances as will have their own set of laws as where it's different from place to place. Like here in Washington State, you cannot sell fireworks until like 2 weeks or a week or a half or until before 4th of July, as it were. But yet still some cities you can't sell fireworks, so you have to go to the drive to a bit to some places to buy fireworks. But also some cities,
it's South Carolina, you can buy them everywhere all year round.
Yeah, that was a culture shock to me.
A work tent and the parking lot of the plaza where the grocery store, housemate and I shop at. There's a bunch of firework tents around here.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to Walmart, you'll find a firework tent.
Yeah, exactly. You go to like any big parking lot, you find a firework tent. That was a culture shock to me because like when I visited family in the Midwest, like we go to Wisconsin, drop in like a gas station. It's sizable gas station for it's like truckers. That's like, my God, this entire section of the store is dedicated to all fireworks. Not even 4th of July. Oh no, we sell it year round. Okay then, celebrations year round, I guess.
These are my Christmas bottle rockets.
I am utterly unsurprised to find that this is already a thing. I just Googled "fuck the 4th." This is apparently a concert, but also Arizona Democrats boost anti-SCOTUS "fuck the 4th" rally in wake of Roe v. Wade overturn. Freeman County Democrats under fire for "fuck the 4th" tweet.
Yeah, this is like
Well,
Fuck the
that's
4th
very
on
nice.
Facebook and all sorts of stuff. Nubian Mafia. What?
What?
Nubian Mafia launched "fuck the 4th" movement. I'm guessing they're a band? It's a Brooklyn-based collective. I don't know what the Nubian Mafia is. That sounds interesting. I'm going to Google it right now.
Yeah, because like I heard the word Nubian before from Chasing Amy, as it were.
Yeah. It basically means black.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's what I was wondering. Is that a Black liberation group that I haven't heard of or something?
Yes.
It looks like it might be a band.
Could be.
Yeah, I mean, Rise in Power. Yeah, Black Liberation.
Okay, yeah. So it's like a Black Liberation band. Okay, maybe something to check out as well. Fireworks have like agricultural exceptions in some places. Yes. But that's always concerned like with fireworks. So like especially when it's like dry in this area. Thankfully, it's actually raining right now, so it won't be a concern now. But then again, there's also like my apartment complex has like actual rules against like fireworks. You'll get fined. Well, it doesn't stop some people though.
You have to actually get caught. I used to work security, and oh yeah, you gotta catch the people doing that. By the time we get there, with the sounds like we don't know where the fuck the noises are coming from.
Yeah. And again, with like city ordinances, like again, you have to be caught to like fall out of fireworks or someone call on you. So like you can get fined.
If you're white, what are the cops going to do?
Shit all.
I
mean,
maybe fine you if you do enough, if you actually do damage.
Basically, you have to be throwing fireworks and high on that.
Yeah. Hello, soy latte. No, soy latte. Yeah, like so Seattle, but soyato. There we go. Yes.
It sounds kind of like a very happy little salamander. Axolotl joke. Yeah.
axolotls are cute.
Yes.
Yeah, they are.
So yeah, my plans for tomorrow, and they're probably going to be working. It's end of the month. I still have to finish like end of the month inventory, but there's a lot of work that like I need to do as well. So it's kind of like I even though I'm invited to a barbecue tomorrow by my dad and like my stepmom as well, I'm question of going as well. But partly is also the only reason I would go was be the free food. But if my brothers can just bring the food home when they come back as well, then I guess I can just continue working because like I love my father despite our difference in politics. Sorry, no, Dad, I'm not for National Socialism. Please don't say that again.
I think you'll find that every kind of socialism is actually Stalinism. My dad said so.
My dad has also claimed that Sweden is a socialist country because of the high taxes.
Well, as Richard Wolff says, socialism is when the government does things, and the more things it does, the more socialist it is.
And when the government does everything, that's
communism.
Yes, he did say that as a joke.
He's like one of the only communist economists out there.
Yes, one of the few.
He was recently a guest on the Deprogram, which is a podcast involving three socialists: Second Thought from YouTube, Hakeem from YouTube, and Ugopnik from YouTube. It's one of the few that has extensive participation from outside the U.S. Yugopnik is a Slav, and Hakim is an Iraqi.
Interesting. Oh, that's actually neat. Having a bit of the diverse panel there, that's kind of neat.
They spend a little bit too much time, for my taste, defending the Soviet Union and Communist China.
Yeah,
but they have educated me that U.S. propaganda has made them sound a lot worse than they actually are.
I can believe that the U.S. propaganda made them sound a lot worse, but like Mao, Stalin for sure, and like Mao also did like terrible things. So Lenin too, but like
not a huge fan, but they're not as bad as I thought.
Well, yeah, I can imagine that. I want to do my own research on that sort of thing too. But like I like Richard Wolff a lot. I used to listen to a lot to like.
He's the only good Dick Wolf. The other good Dick Wolf made 35, 40 years of propaganda.
Yes.
Propaganda.
Propaganda, yes, with Law and Order, yes, that Dick Wolf. But like my problem with like Richard Wolff is that like it's like the Democracy Now and no, not Democracy Now, Democracy at Work and Economic Update is like it's kind of interesting lectures as were, but like. It's still it feels like it's good introduction to people of like anti-capitalism as it were. My problem is when he platformed Jimmy Dore, because Jimmy Dore and their friends. Yes. So you can
I vaguely remember what happened to that guy. I don't keep track of every leftist celebrity though for reasons.
Again, back in like November of 2019 or 2018 as it were, I was invited on to American Anarchist onto like her live streams as it were. It was like the weekend of Thanksgiving. It was me, Blanc Sprager, and Social Revolution was invited on, her friend Piper, and then like her other friend, our friend Samantha, the vegan anarchist was invited on. The vegan anarchist thought like, should we get Jimmy Dore on to be like a leftist were? And Bronx Burger shut that down. It's like, no, Jimmy Dore is way too much of a dude, bro, way too much in the Joe Rogan kind of crowd. So I never had a favorable opinion of Jimmy Dore since then as were. And what I've learned is just like he's like one of those asshole jerks, a dirtbag leftist is a word that like to yell at women, for example, and then platform Boo Goo Boys, and like these guys are kind of interesting.
Similar. Let's see. Last week or the week before, there was a pro-choice protest here in Greenville. Some Proud Boys showed up and started some violence.
Did they get their asses beat as is appropriate?
No, the cops intervened and started assaulting and brutalizing the pro-choice protesters.
That was going to be my second guess.
Yeah.
I was being optimistic.
Likely.
Yeah, it was
optimism.
It was so bad that a pro-life person came in and said, "Oh my God, what the fuck is up with these cops?" Yeah, it was on Reddit. I doubt I could find it anymore, but
okay. If you're in the anti-abortion camp and you don't know about the history between the anti-abortion movement.
Well, I mean, he didn't actually say what the fuck is up with these cops. He said, "Oh my God, these cops were actually just that awful."
But I mean,
yeah, he was coming out in support of the pro-choicers narrative about the cops.
I mean, like, there's a lot of people don't know about like the anti-abortion terrorism. There's a lot of people do know about the anti-abortion like legislatures, like activism, as it were. Because say what you will about them, they got the results that they wanted. They made sure that their politicians that they voted in would like gear the earful or be primaried out if they did not like do anything to like pass anti-abortion stuff, as it were, or enact those sort of things. So like they were more. That's what like liberals should be like if like we can't get like Medicare for all or like better like your universal basic services.
Yes, but or something. There's a key word in what you just said that explains the whole reason why that's very unlikely.
Liberals. Yeah, exactly. But like the anti-abortion terrorism, fucking hell, there's a lot. There's a lot that's not known publicly as well or mainstream wise, because like the 1996 bombing at like the Summer Olympics in Atlanta, as were that guy with the nail bomber, he's an anti-abortion terrorist, as it were. That was part of the reason for his like the nail bomb that he created. Yeah, but that's not talked about, as it were.
No, because he was like. Actually, no. Was that what the one they talked? They just talked about him having ties to Russia, and then they glossed over everything else using that.
Maybe
I can't keep track. But
yeah.
I mean, yeah. If it was a white person did it, well, clearly it must have been because I'm not even gonna say it because it's fucking ableist as hell.
Yeah.
The whole
mentally unwell or something like that, or just snapped.
You mean victims of Batman?
Yeah. And
Batman. Oh my goodness, that's good.
There's like layers to it, because the first layer to it is the making excuses for violence when the violence is committed by a white person, while as if it's committed by a black person or a Middle Eastern person, Hispanic person, they're going to add a whole bunch of other labels on it.
White people scavenge, brown people loot. That's how it works.
Yes, or how it's like if the white person is the lone wolf, but it's like a Palestinian, it's a terrorist.
Right.
The Family Guy meme.
Yeah. Yes, and the more darker it is, the more the fucking terrorists that they are. Or like if the more white it is, the more if it's a protester. The more darker it is, the more if it's a writer.
The Family Guy meme with the guy with the color swatch.
Yeah, you'll see it in about 20 seconds showing up on the stream. Okay, not okay. Terrorist, not a terrorist.
Yep. I still like to point out, and I could, if you want, it'd probably take me only a couple minutes to bring up the articles on it. The whole like early connection between groups like the Ku Klux Klan and the anti-abortion movement, where
that actually took some time to develop.
Oh, where it developed first?
Well, see, the thing is, okay, I can go on a whole rant about this, but in the South, white supremacy was just religious, racial bigotry. It was outside the South that you got the eugenics shit, and that's where the anti-abortion stuff comes in. And they didn't combine forces until the late 1970s.
And you know what did it?
It was what's his name? Focus on the Family.
Oh, Focus on the Focus.
Jerry Falwell did it because he wanted to enlarge his political group against integrating schools.
Yep.
Because the schools weren't getting state funding anymore, and he figured he could get the Catholics on board if he.
Well, it wasn't so much getting the Catholics on board as that he saw the success the Catholics had up in Michigan, and that they had Focus on the Family founded 2 years before he started his anti-abortion thing. And Focus on the Family was explicitly an evangelical eugenics organization. Made it a hell of a lot easier. But yeah, you're right. Randall Balmer, a Presbyterian minister, did extensive research into this and recently published a book. Is it Race and the Rise of the Religious Right? It's called Bad Fame, in which he talks about how it started because the IRS went after their segregated schools. They argued that if you don't serve the community, if you categorically refuse to serve half the community, you cannot be said to be engaged in community service. Therefore, you do not get tax-exempt status. The courts agreed. Bob Jones, Liberty, and all the little segregation academies throughout the South are in danger of losing that shit. So, thus, we got the Christian Coalition. And yeah, abortion was not the thing. Jerry Falwell Sr., in his autobiography, admitted he didn't give his first anti-abortion sermon until February of 1978. Almost exactly 5 years after Roe v. Wade was published.
Yep, not surprised.
So, I mean, it was a deliberate choice. It was not morality. It was pure politics. It was just a way of whitewashing their racism. Literally whitewashing.
Yep. And then the point where I remember where the KKK got involved and they supported some of the different church movements for it was the way the KKK phrased it, it was they felt that white women getting abortions was race suicide.
Yeah, that is the argument of eugenics. Yeah,
and that creepy obsession with the white birth rate.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Eugenics. Negative eugenics is about preventing undesirables from having babies, meaning brown people, the disabled, and foreigners, and Muslims and Jews, because Jews aren't really white. Positive eugenics is about forcing white people to make babies.
Yes,
So, I mean, first up, marriage counseling, which doesn't mean, sexual, emotional, or goal compatibility. It means, digging through family trees, looking for hidden Jews. And then once you're married, you got to make them babies, which means men have to be men, women have to be women, no queers, no transes, ever. And then once those babies are made, they got to be born, no abortion.
And yes,
that's the Republican Party's platform right there.
Yep,
it's just eugenics.
Yep, it is actually. And Emory Chambers bringing it up, but like I said, yes, happy Disability Pride Month all.
Yay.
Hi.
and most of and most of the all the friends that I donate money to regularly, as well as like most of the friends that are in the charity links page, as we're Jonah Roberts, Fran Phoenix, Ness Nickel, they're all disabled and queer as well.
And some of them are quite brown.
Yes. Yeah, Phoenix and Ness.
I forgot the last platform from eugenics. Encourage immigration from good countries like Norway and prohibit or limit immigration from shithole countries.
Yeah, on that note, it's been pointed out before, but I'll point it out again. The whole thing of, okay, we have all these refugees from, I remember at the time it was Serbia.
Yes.
And this big, the immigration, there's too much immigration in Europe. We have to stop the immigration. One war in Ukraine with Russia and white people fleeing Ukraine. There was something I was reading about, and then anybody who wasn't white being prevented from getting on the trains to escape Ukraine.
Yep. The Congolese, the people from Nigeria, from from the Congo, from the Caribbean, India,
and now all of a sudden it's, we have to make room for all these Ukrainian refugees, and of course the only Ukrainians they put on TV are very white.
I mean, and then of course you have every fucking news outlet after the invasion going, this is something you expect to happen in the Middle East, not to Europe.
Like, it's like, but it's totally okay if it happens in the Middle East because we did that.
It's okay if it happens to people with some melanin. And
it's even Trevor Noah of the Daily Show was pointed that out. So it's like, wow, you're all surprised that war is happening in Europe. So why is it you're surprised now war is happening in Europe is being a shock to you, as it were? It's like, oh my God, this terrible tragedy, as were, while ignoring all the wars is going on and in the rest of the world, as it were. It's what's still going on in Yemen too.
Oh, I forget who it was. It might have been the New York Times. But there was some newspaper going around doing these creepy ass, I don't forget if it was a op-ed or just an actual thing of Russia is going back to its Asian roots, and then showing
they're bringing back the Asian hordes
dressed up in like samurai armor, and basically it was okay, can we stop demonizing people from all the various countries that make up Southeast Asia? It's not okay.
Yes.
Two, they're definitely doing the thing of they're trying to be like, oh well he did this thing that we don't like, therefore we can't consider him to be white anymore.
Yep.
It's all fucked.
Emily Chambers, you're totally right. Earlier in the conversation, healthy married white babies only, as it were, what the white eugenicists want, as it were. But why don't ugly laws get talked about anymore? Oh wait, I know. It's like, Yep. Just by quick things on the Wikipedia, the ugly laws did exist between 1867 and 1974. Various cities in the United States have like unsightly bigotry, in retrospect also dubbed ugly laws. The laws target poor and disabled people. Our history, everyone. This is a great country that many are going to celebrate tomorrow. I gotta read more about this and be horrified but not surprised by like this country as it were, because like and agree, Emily Chambers. Yeah, so even though July is like disability pride month as it were, it's also Raft months as well. It's all months are Raft months as were, honestly.
Pride is canceled. We only have Wrath now.
Yes, exactly. Which Wrath are we talking about? Because like 2003 Wrath is my favorite FMA character of all time. Now you get it. We can talk about that for after the character as well. It's been a long time since I watched like the 2003 version of Full Metal Alchemist as well. I did like Brotherhood though as well, but it's like both shows that have their own merits as well. You can watch both of them. Start with Full Metal Alchemist 2003 and then go to Brotherhood, because if you start with like Brotherhood, you might be disappointed with Full Metal Alchemist 2003. But like that's my preference, but I bet you can still enjoy both shows like either way, or enjoy one over the other. Yeah. Didn't took that long to get me started on anime talk.
So how do you feel about Attack on Titan's final season?
I'm not gonna watch it because like fuck the fascists, like fuck that fascist. I mean that manga show. I did watch the first season and was like, oh, the page is kind of interesting in the second half, and it's just like, and they're just out in the forest.
So the fucked up thing about it. So I was reading a bunch of stuff where people were like, well, the author's actual intent was that you shouldn't be, sympathizing with the hero by the end, because the whole point is to show how the whole hero's arc thing just leads to one person just.
The author had fascist sympathies throughout.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so people did make that shit up. I was thinking maybe they did.
Feet to Signify recently did a video talking about the manosphere and the rise of the far right and things like that. He did a whole section on Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
And the fucked up thing being that for like the first, it's like 3 seasons, it's just this big mystery show.
Yeah, it is.
The creepy thing is that Feek did this whole thing, reading snippets out of manifestos from various mass shooters like Roger Elliott and the Virginia Tech guy, and then the excuse given by the main character in the last season of Attack on Titan for the massive global genocide he committed.
Wow. Nick Anderson, and our friend and like a former guest of the show as well as the comic artist of the Planet Ripple, he noted that, or like saw that RC people like talk about that as whereas like whereas like in the mangas were the like Titans were like from the race of like Eldians, and is that kind of like terrible trope of like the powerful Jewish as it were person. And it's like once I learned about that of Attack on Titan, I significantly lost interest in Attack on Titan. And plus like the first season of Attack on Titan, it's like, oh, they're going to continue this mystery as it were. Lame as it were. I kind of lost interest by that point too. So it's liberals were saying, oh god, you don't hate the show because of like some of its politics as it were. You can't, or I forgot what he actually said. It was on like actually on video on stream as it were, so I can go back and watch it. But like I was kind of like pointing out like how liberalism kind of like had like soft white supremacy in like My Little Pony Friendship's Magic, because their liberalism just like didn't challenge like any of those things. Bringing up the example of like the settler ponies as it were.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I've noped out of a bunch of media because its politics were getting a little icky for me.
Yes. Granted, I will say this: I don't watch I don't watch most entertainment for its politics. Or sometimes I'm turned off by the shows because of their politics. But like, I watch anime. I should not watch anime for its politics.
I love Batman and Marvel. I obviously.
Because it's something we should bring up, and it's like it's so easy for us leftists to like say such and such is propaganda as it were, but if someone is enjoying it as a word, they want to feel bad for like knowing it, and if they're actual leftists too. So like you can we don't need to discuss the politics of like Stranger Things as it were. If you enjoy the show, you can enjoy the show, because like the ADV Club a long time ago in 2005 has said, if you hated the Ewoks in Return of the Jedi, but still love in Return of the Jedi, you can understand feminist critiques of media.
Yeah.
You can still love something, but still be critical of some more pernicious aspects as well.
That's the heart of feminist frequency.
Ewoks are cute.
Criticize the media works we love.
As Ewoks are cute. Litter Ono was Litter Ono was very scared of Ewoks because they actually have teeth and they eat humans. So
I mean, okay,
I've always loved the concept of adorable monsters.
But when you're like 10 years old, it's like, oh hey, puppet character.
Yes. And like Warwick Davis being like 13 stones as he plays Wicket, as it were.
You know what we need? We need something that we can sell a lot of, because the only way I'm making money off of this is merchandising. Ewoks. That was the entire drive for the creation of those characters. I guarantee it.
I have no doubt in it whatsoever, as were. And like, back in the time when like it was Return of the Jedi, there was the worst Star Wars movie ever. Then they made the two Ewoks movies, Battle for Endor, and
they were fun.
Star Wars Christmas special.
No, the Ewoks were not in that one. That was 79. The Star Wars for Christmas special was 79.
No, I'm just saying the
horrible things.
Oh, other horrible
I liked
things.
the
Okay.
Ewok movies. I mean, again, I was like 10 years old when I first saw them.
And hey, they were filmed in the Evergreen Forest in Washington State. But then there was also the comics and the 1984 cartoon series as well. I never saw it as it were because I was born in 1984, so of course I didn't saw it. But like, apparently it existed. But no, I still love the Return of the Jedi. It's just like, there's like parts of it you can just like, if you're seen it enough, you can like skip it as where like a lot of the parts of the Ewoks I think you can skip, because I always remember just like the big action scenes of like the killing of Jabba in the first half, and then like the final act of the war with like all the various battles that happen and all at once. But yeah. So, how terrible is capitalism?
Ah.
Don't worry, we won't be here forever. We only got 26 minutes left.
It's so hard to be sure whether or not it's an improvement over monarchy and feudalism.
So, when I was on my cab ride to the Sacramento airport so I could come to where I'm living now, and I booked a cab driver who had, a buzz cut and sunglasses and a baseball cap. And
I feel attacked. Buzz cuts don't necessarily make you evil. They might just make you an asshole. The sunglasses and baseball hat is kind of a red flag. Whiteness is definitely a red flag.
This is a libertarian because he's the libertarian.
As in I just don't I don't care about any of the other politics. I just don't want to pay taxes because I think the government wastes my money. And he just kept going on. And it's like, he can obviously see I'm disabled because Kane.
Yes.
So he's like, well, I don't know what disabled people are supposed to do because the whole government's going to collapse in a few years, but I'm going to be okay because I'm going to go off onto my land in Idaho and I'm just going to work the land and not pay taxes. And it's like,
you're going to go to prison.
It's like, okay, so like, I'm sitting in this cab, and it's like an hour and a half ride to the airport that I hired this guy to take me to.
Did he rant the entire time?
Disabled. I had my girlfriend had to help me get the luggage to the cab. He did help us get it into the trunk. I physically could not lift my luggage. It was not even 50 pounds. I physically can't lift it anymore on my own. I can drag it around the wheels, but that's it. And he's going off on this whole thing and starts off with, well, which you like more, like capitalism or socialism? And just gets off on this whole thing of, oh, well, I sympathize with your situation. I don't know what you're going to do, but capitalism served me pretty well. Da, da, da. I'm going, but it's like, I don't want to have to pay taxes for disabled people. He's actually disabled people to live because, well, the government's just going to waste all the money anyway. So I'd rather not pay taxes on it. And I'm sorry. Or no, he didn't even say I'm sorry. He just kind of went off on that. And this is my opinion. We should just have be able to he just kept saying, oh, we should just be able to have civil disagreements. I'm fucking sitting in this cab for an hour-and-a-half ride in which my safety is dependent on the man driving the car. My ability to live, unfortunately, for me, depends on whether or not the government believes I'm disabled. Oh yeah, I still have a hearing pending. It's kind of hanging over my head. That's not fun. And this guy, who, by the way, also, one of the other things he wanted me to know was that he was a landlord with 3 properties, and he didn't know what people were supposed to do about the homeless crisis, but he didn't he was like, I'm not going to take any of those people in unless the government pays me for all the possible damages that could happen. I'm like, oh my God. But it's like, I'm in this car. I need this guy to be driving safely. He did drive safely. He's just a libertarian asshole. And
I mean, not for nothing, you were technically carrying a weapon. I mean, he was driving the car, but you know what? Worth it.
Oh, no, he actually got into that because he got into this whole thing about gun rights, and his whole thing about gun rights was this one judge did the thing of, well, if we banned guns, banning like assault rifles, we'd have to ban cars.
Or we could license guns the way we license cars, and that would stop 19-year-old shit dicks from all the things.
Yes.
And the reason they have shitty dicks is because they're bad at wiping.
One of the good arguments I've heard is the idea of liability insurance. Because
I can see that.
I mean, even if you were to do the numbers, if we're going for like a lot of leftists are very much so, hey, we need to be able to keep a certain amount of weapons because
when things go to shit, the right wing are well armed. We need to be armed.
Yeah,
we need to be able to defend ourselves, not from the government, but from white
supremacist assholes who already have weapons.
Also.
That okay, so there's like millions of fucking guns in the country.
Yeah.
It's a small percentage of them that actually get used to kill people or injure people. The way liability insurance works is you have a penalty, and this should obviously not trump over like. This is where it's like the fucked up thing of. Do not really want a world dealing with cops, but if you have somebody who's like a white supremacist asshole who's going around just shooting people because he's a white supremacist asshole, which happens a lot, you kind of hope he was removed from where he can harm people.
Yeah.
But yeah, he went into this whole thing about that. He went into a whole thing about how he was a landlord and how, well, the government better pay him if they wanted him to take in any unhoused people, the government better pay him. But it's like, he didn't want to pay taxes because, but look at all these, like the individual personal vanity projects that all the different politicians do. I don't really like. I was about to use the name people use a lot for, but like. Bit uncomfortable because of the history, and look at the history of the whole pork belly or pork barrel.
Oh, pork barrel, yeah, okay.
Don't you go and some pork belly? That's good food. I say, goddamn.
Pork barrel, but yeah,
go
ahead.
Pork barrel is slavery era preference.
Oh, okay,
it's just regular corruption. It was just the name for it back then.
Yeah. And I'm like, but my whole thinking was, I'm dependent on him for my safety, and here he is telling me that as a disabled person, he's like, oh well, I'm sorry, I don't want to pay taxes for you to be able to live. So you're telling me while I'm sitting in your car, which I've paid you to drive safely to get me to an airport safely, that you don't care if I live or die. And I'm sitting right here in your cab that the guy was like boasting about how he owned. And I was like, oh, well, I'm doing so well under capitalism because I am a self-made man. I don't know where he originally got his money from, but it's like, you don't just suddenly have the money to go build a small cab company with your own vehicles and own land and buy land out in Idaho and all this other stuff that he was boasting about. Also, if you're a landlord who's just living off of other people's income, you're not self-made. You're living off of other people's income.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like,
I don't want to pay taxes to protect your property from people just living there without paying you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Getting tax breaks for mortgages and not rent is class warfare.
Yes. And yeah, George M.P. said, like, I would like I'll be like, shut up and drive to my destination, as it were. And now the thing is, like, and Mitchell said, when I was a taxi driver, I was one of those compulsory talkers. And this is, I mentioned this to Tabby too, when like she was like mentioning parts of the story to me. Okay, I've been that passenger. To be fair, it was Uber, and I was continuing the conversation I was having with like former coworker. He actually like left to go to like Africa with his girlfriend for like missionary mission, and then came back. So we had like a party at a bar, basically a get together at a bar to like, oh, he's celebrating, come back. He's not working in the company, and I don't blame him anyway. But it was like, he's gone for a year, comes back and talks with me, and I go on about I'm a narco-syndicalist, and here's my thoughts about like politics, as it were. It was actually kind of a shock to him because like I never didn't talk politics much, as it were. But so I was kind of the person having that conversation in the car, or as it were, being that passenger. But I was doing it to my coworker though. The driver is a socialist, as was a teacher, and was like driving Uber during the summer when like he has time off to do so. So he was fascinated by the conversation, as it were. So I've been that passenger. And not the driver. That's the difference. But also, I've been having conversation with my other passengers as it were, going on about my politics, as it were. And also, the last time was like, really? Is that true? Yes. So it's like most people cannot like it's like I forgot to like what's the stat I brought up that I read in a CNN CNBC article at the time, but it's just like kind of like similar to like how 78% of us don't have like enough money for a $400 like emergency, as it were. Or like the majority of families are like living off like $3,000 a month or less than that. This or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then they're gonna like lecture us about values and traditions in American culture. Are they American media? Yep. As Emily Sherman says, oh yeah, that's a trip. You're one of the good ones. Too bad shitty disabled people ruin things, as it were. Yeah, it's like that's a horrible experience, as it were.
You want a rough idea? Well, that can't be right. About how much I've got. About how living the disabled life is going for me in terms of money. I've got maybe like $100 in the bank and $6,000 something in credit card debt.
Well, you're rich compared to Jonathan.
Yeah, I mean, okay. now, as disabled living goes, I'm not doing that bad. Case in point, Jonathan has the whole list of friends we would like to give money to.
Didn't you recently have a court date scheduled, or?
And I currently have a very good situation because my housemate / landlord on paper, it's agreement between friends, so I can have a place to stay and I can put down on pieces of paper that I'm renting from somewhere, because sometimes you need to be able to do that for social services applications. Yeah, I don't have to pay that much for my housing and other expenses right now.
That is
but yeah,
Yeah. And Emily Chambers bring up a good point. Wheelchair batteries prices like scare people. Okay, wheelchair batteries prices.
do it. So that's another thing. Like, yeah, I talk about being disabled, but all I need is a cane in terms of mobility aid. Wheelchairs are a whole nother wheelchair, power chairs, walkers even.
$35, $137, $49, $83.
I bet that $20 battery is awesome.
How long did these last?
That's a great question.
How many do you need? How often?
No chance that's
Y2X4LDS es una batería de
and does insurance cover them? I'm going to assume it doesn't.
Amperios de arranque en frío, cerrada de broma ácido. It's in Spanish for some reason.
Because my understanding is it can be like pulling teeth to get insurance to cover
it has long life.
aids.
That's what it has. It has long life.
Depending on where you are.
Oh, it's a motorcycle battery.
I don't see like anything. It's like 1 year warranty. That's about it. It's worth and
70, 180, 180, 70, 180, 42.
And so yeah, that's like I don't know how often that like if people have to like have to buy these, and I hate that how it's like you buy them and in order to get your money back, show your receipt and then get a rebate. That's how some of the benefit systems works. Is where you still have to buy it first, as it were, and it's just like,
and then you have to wait for them.
Yeah, it's just like
if you're disabled and whatever services it is like, hey, we need this from you now, or we're going to put you down as non-compliant and we're going to stop giving you whatever benefit it was. But if you need something from them, it's whenever the fuck they feel like it.
Yep. Yes, and something that always needs to be like pointed out too about like since it's Disabled Pride Month, as well as and disability advocates and disabled people have always like talked about this. There's no such thing as marriage equality when you're disabled, because once, regardless if like the person you're marrying is also disabled or not, once you marry someone, you lose your benefits, as if you mentally are not disabled. Whole idea is just like your spouse is getting take. Oh, you don't need us to take care of you to help you out. Your spouse can do that, as it were. So how can there be ever any marriage equality if disabled people lose their benefits for getting married?
Also, specify. That's another thing I've been lucky about. And my wife and I are separating and working on getting a divorce. But if you're on SSI. In the US, that's the way it works. I was on SSDI, and I could just have however much. They didn't care about my spouse's income.
Right, and SSI, it does also have the assets limits, if I'm correct, as a word. If you have more than $2,000 or whatever the asset limit is, then you lose your benefits.
And the way they make the distinction of what program you end up on depends on how long you were working before, which means that if you have a disability that you've had your entire life or developed in your teenage years,
get fucked.
You get fucked. Yeah, you get the absolute worst end of it.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're doing everything they can to favor the wealthy.
Yeah, that was like when they posted the question, it's like, what are the things you can like put the charge with capitalism on trials, or we kind of, they haven't gone into like details, but it's kind of funny, like the last time I was on Steve Shive's Patreon hangout last week, it's last Sundays, where Sears Mining wasn't able to join the call, so he was just in the live chat, as it were, and and I go on about capitalism just for a short period. So and he said he's a small business owner, so there's sales where like he lies. And he said if someone gets hit by a bus, some random geek's going to blame capitalism on it, which almost presented me as a challenge. It's like, how can
our infrastructure is completely shitty, so yeah.
And imagine like someone's being like overtired, being overworked, or probably just mistakenly walking into the street when the bus is coming, or like a tired bus driver. So I was
they're all overworked and underpaid. Yeah.
So I can think of like reasons to like connect capitalism to like that happening as
There are traffic accidents that happen just because somebody was exhausted and fell asleep behind the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but so I can do that, but also it's just like I can say, well, I can blame capitalism for the 1954 coup of Guatemala because the United Fruit Company wanted cheap bananas.
Yes,
I almost got sideswiped by an Amazon truck. I complained about it on Twitter. They say, "Can you give us the truck driver's number?" I said, "Fuck you. It's your fault, not his."
Yeah, I mean, Amazon truck drivers get treated.
All truck drivers. I mean, being a truck driver used to be a way to have a solid middle-class lifestyle. It was difficult. The hours weren't great. You were away from your family for long periods of time. But you made good money. You could own your own home.
But
now it's fucked. It's like being a pro wrestler.
Challenge that, but only because I actually have experience working at truck yards and for different distribution companies.
I'm talking about back in like the 60s and 70s.
No, I'm still talking about today, about the last 10 years.
It's absolutely shitty now, is what I'm saying.
That depends on who they work for. There are some truck drivers who are very privileged people.
Okay.
There are also companies that are just exploit the fuck out of people, especially immigrants. There was a company I was working for at one point, in which I would say that most of the truck drivers working for that company had they had just basically a route they ran every day, and they got $100,000 a year salaries and all this other stuff going on. But other places where I worked and I saw other companies were doing, especially seeing what they did to truck drivers who were immigrants. So there are different worlds.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But overall, yeah, it's pretty shit. Because there are like the trucking companies that have strong unions, and then there are the ones that just are fucked.
Yep. Yeah. Capitalism, as it were. So
like, I remember one of the worst jobs I worked at a yard basically that took in containers for the port of one of the big ports, the port of Newark, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Oh shit, Newark, murder capital of the U.S. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to work law security in Newark, New Jersey. Because of how shittily they treated both the drivers, and so the job of the guards there was to do because it was a place for storing empty containers, we were supposed to confirm that they were empty and then put a tag on it. And they wouldn't allow us enforce a rule that we were able to enforce at other sites, which was you don't touch a truck until the driver hands you the keys. And because nobody would take the time to explain anything to these drivers, we weren't allowed the time to explain anything to the drivers. A lot of them were immigrant workers who were fucking exhausted. It was the middle of the night. The weather was terrible. A lot of times the weather was fucking terrible and we'd still be working. Communication didn't happen. I'd be out trying to put a seal on the back of a truck, and the truck drives away while I'm like climbing up on like the boot, that step on the back of the truck. So I'm supposed to put a thing on it, and then the truck starts moving. That job was fucked.
In Archmedia, you're not the only one that has noticed that I have as it were as one of my crutches.
I once tried to do an as it were count during an episode, I couldn't keep up.
As it were.
As it were.
Oh, yeah.
Reminds me of Massimo Pigliucci back when he was still on the podcast with Julia Galef. He would end every sentence, oh, not every sentence, but every other sentence, and so on and so forth.
I am actually willing to say fuck leftist meme culture because it is terrible communication. It tends to be very dismissive, and it tends to lean towards more and more permissiveness of problematic attacks on just every different marginalized group.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's just a meme.
Saying it's just a meme is kind of like it has its own like a host of promises, or
swastika is technically just a meme.
Mm-hmm. Even though I've shared the like a meme before that like I got criticized for because like it sounded like I was advocating for like mass murder, but that was part of a whole like other thing because like I was terrible at advocating for Anna Kirsten in a live stream weeks before that happened. Whole story. But thank you, Emily Chambers. I have those like links open to like the things that you've like presented with us, and like as you just mentioned earlier as well, referring to the ugly laws as were, and gender non-conforming people included in the ugly laws too. Yeah, fuck this cis-hetero, white supremacist, ableist, settler-colonialist, capitalist system, as it were, and the state that upholds the white supremacist, cis-hetero, patriarchal, ableist, settler-colonialist, imperialist, capitalist system. I will read these resources as it were. Thank you all for like enlightening us and joining us in this conversation as we're and Soyato for joining us for the first time. Yes,
it's probably supposed to be Soyatle, but
Soyato.
But from now on, cheesy can't go. Or sorry, salamander. A newt?
If you wanted to add something to the list of crimes of capitalism, I think I can come up with an interesting one.
What's that?
Okay.
Mass isolation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's why people often get confused about alienation.
I mean, getting even into things like the whole creation of the idea of the nuclear family as a way to get everybody nicely sorted into their own little units with their nice fences between their neighbors. And now, like some random ad I was seeing on YouTube, and I clicked out of it because it didn't seem to be going anywhere interesting. Was like, yeah, most people don't know the names of their neighbors, don't talk to their neighbors, don't interact with their neighbors. They're so
many people don't trust each other.
Yeah, the way capitalism and this it drastically capitalism and white supremacy overlaid together. Organizes people. It does it in a way to discourage community. As a way.
Well, there's no such thing as community. We're all individuals and families now. Fuck that bitch. Glad she's dead. Piss on her grave.
And if I'm going to hell because for whatever reason, being atheist, being queer, that's fine. I got a mission to do once I'm in hell. Where's Margaret Thatcher?
All right, and with that, we are an hour and a half in. I've got a gymnasium to get to. So we have the geek / R2 Geek 2. And we have our axe wielding barbarian Joe. And we have Tabbity Wolf.
Oh, that's so far away.
So yes, I'm Summary Geek on Twitter, YouTube, and like Twitch. I at least post regularly on enough on Twitter as or Twitch. I don't know when I go back to it. I should post more videos up on YouTube as well. I know I say this every week as well. Next week is the Patreon hangout because it'll be the second Sunday of the month. So Joe McClure, you get to come back on like next week as well.
From the Rent Fair.
And you can live stream from the Ren Fair. Show us.
I'm doing a pub crawl at 11, so I should be entertaining at that point.
All right.
Like have calmed down enough because it'll be like an hour after it finished. But
and Tabbity Wolf has a Twitch stream.
I haven't been using it lately.
You haven't been using it. All right. And I do
No
my Dungeons and
problem.
Debacles podcast. Totally different from this. We're sailing the world from the Evil Red Dragon Cult, and we haven't recorded in weeks because of circumstances. And I will leave you with this gem from Doctor Who.
Well, I was on my way to this gay gypsy bar mitzvah for the disabled when I suddenly thought, gosh, the Third Reich's a bit rubbish. I think I'll kill the Führer. Who's with me?
Pretty much the only good thing Stephen Moffat did.
Uh,
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.